Welcome back to Real World Epics. Today, we're going to dive into the punishments in history that will leave you terrified of the brutalities that occurred in the name of justice. History is filled with strange and shocking events, but some of the most jaw-dropping stories come from the unusual punishments people faced in the past. From the downright cruel to the incredibly bizarre, we're counting down 10 strange punishments from history that will shock you. So, sit back, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Let's jump right into it. In the shadows of history, there is an archive of brutal techniques designed to draw out confessions and instill terror. Starting off our list at number 10. 10. The Brazen Bull. Turning our gaze to one of history's most chilling examples of punishment, first we delve into the ghastly tale of the Brazen Bull. The Brazen Bull was a life-size bronze statue of a bull with an opening on one side. Before the bull was sealed shut, this door was used to place the victims inside. A fire was built beneath the bull, slowly heating the metal until it was red hot. As the temperature inside the bull's cavity rose, the victim went through excruciating agony. Because of the way the bull's head was made, the victim's suffering could be perceived as menacing, terrifying noises that resembled the cry of a real bull. Can you even imagine? The cries of agony sounded like the roar of a bull, adding a whole new level of psychological damage for both the victim and the witnesses. But what do you think? Could you handle hearing the cries from the Brazen Bull? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a spine-chilling story like this. Ready for more? Let's continue our journey through history's most shocking punishments. Coming up next at number 9. Chinese water torture. Let's talk about Chinese water torture, known as one of the worst forms of psychological torture in history. Picture this. A person is tied down, unable to move. Above their forehead, a container slowly drips water, with each drop landing on the same spot. At first, it seems harmless, but over time, the constant dripping becomes unbearable. What starts as a mild annoyance soon feels like a hammer hitting the same spot over and over again. Victims have described it as driving them to the brink of madness. The constant dripping becomes a relentless torment, turning something as simple as water into a tool of extreme distress. It's chilling, isn't it? This method of punishment shows how the simplest things can be turned into instruments of horror. But what do you think? Could you endure the relentless drip, drip, drip of Chinese water torture? At number 8 we have the Blood Eagle. After the horror of Chinese water torture, let's explore the unsettling Blood Eagle. In this method, the victim is tied up and placed face down. The executioner then opens their back along the spine, pulling out the lungs and ribs through the wounds. This slow and painful process usually ends with the victim's death from organ damage. Today, the Blood Eagle is seen with horror and disapproval. It is considered extremely cruel and a violation of human rights. Hold on to your seats as we venture further into history's most jaw-dropping punishments. Coming up next, number 7 will leave you speechless. The Spanish Donkey. Continuing our journey through the dark corridors of history, we arrive at the Spanish Donkey. Its name comes from its design, a wooden structure featuring a narrow, triangular saddle resembling a donkey. Imagine a victim being forced to straddle this sharp-edged saddle, their legs dangling on either side. To make matters worse, their hands might be bound or attached to weights, increasing the pressure and intensifying the agony. The entire weight of their body pressed down on the sharp edge, causing excruciating pain to their private areas. The sharpness of the edge combined with the victim's weight created a tormenting experience that was as painful as it was humiliating. 6. Rat torture. Moving on to number 6, we have a horrifying kind of torture known as rat torture. Involves the victim suffering at the hands of rodents, mainly rats. Imagine being confined in a tight space with only rats around you. Do you think you would be able to survive that? It is characterized by the victim being placed in an enclosed space, usually a cage or container, with rats, and the rats being kept in harsh conditions. The rats turn the victims into menacing objects because they are scared or hungry and utilize their bodies as a way of escape. In the present era, rat torture is viewed with dread and revulsion. It is widely seen as a flagrant breach of human rights and a horrible act of cruelty. 5. The Iron Maiden. Next, let me tell you the eerie tale of the Iron Maiden. Imagine a tall, imposing cabinet, its interior surfaces filled with cruel spikes. A victim would be forced inside, standing upright with barely any room to move. The door would then close with a chilling finality, pressing those spikes into their body. The spikes were cunningly designed to miss vital organs, ensuring the victim wouldn't pass away quickly, but would endure suffering. As the door shut, the spikes slowly pierced the skin, causing waves of unbearable pain. Over time, the deeper spikes bore the weight of the victim, holding them in place and preventing any movement, which only intensified the agony. 4. The rack. Now, let's talk about the rack, a simple yet effective torture device. The victim's ankles and wrists were tied to these rollers, securing them tightly to the frame. As the torturer turned the rollers, the victim's limbs were slowly stretched in opposite directions, causing immense pain. This mechanical strain often led to severe muscle damage, broken bones, and dislocated joints. The pain of being stretched was made worse by the horrifying thought that the torturer could keep tightening the ropes until the victim either confessed. 3. The Judas Cradle. At number 3, we delve into the nightmarish device known as the Judas Cradle. Picture this. The victim is forced into a harrowing position above a sharp, pyramid-shaped structure made of wood or metal, with its point menacingly aimed at them. Strapped by their hands and feet, the victim is slowly lowered onto the pyramid's sharp tip. The agony begins as their weight presses down, causing intense and deep injuries. Any movement or attempt to shift only worsens the pain. The design of the Judas Cradle was crafted for suffering, making this device one of the most cruel and excruciating tools of torture ever devised. 2. Poina Kule, punishment of the sack. At number 2, prepare yourself for one of the most shocking punishments in history, Poina Kule. Imagine being condemned to an excruciating fate where the unimaginable becomes reality. The victim is stuffed into a large leather sack. Sounds bad enough, right? But here's the truly horrifying twist. Along with the person, live animals such as snakes, dogs, and even a rooster are thrown in. The sack is then sealed tight, trapping both the condemned and the frantic creatures inside. Poina Kule was designed to maximize fear and suffering, making it one of the most terrifying and bizarre punishments ever devised. 1. Crucifixion. At number 1, we encounter one of the most infamous and horrifying methods of execution, crucifixion. Imagine the scene. The victim, burdened with the weight of a heavy wooden cross, is forced to carry it through the streets, paraded as a spectacle of suffering. Once they reach the execution site, they are laid out on the cross, and their hands and feet are either nailed or tied to it. The cross is then hoisted upright, leaving the victim hanging in a position that brings pain and vulnerability. Crucifixion was not a quick death. It was a slow, agonizing process that could drag on for hours or even days. The relentless pain from being nailed to the cross, combined with the constant strain and inability to move, made this method of execution one of the most brutal and prolonged in history. These were the top 10 most shocking punishments from history. Thanks for watching. If you found these historical methods as shocking as we did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or any topics you'd like us to cover next. Stay tuned and stay curious.